Before anyone asks, just want to cover Tyrese's situation. He very much wants to play, desperately wants to play. But the decision on tonight was taken out of his hands earlier in the day. It was just determined that tonight was not an option. He is feeling better, and we'll see where he is on Monday. And that's it.
You guys have obviously won without Tyrese before. I think you were 6-4 in the previous 10 games. Obviously, it's a little bit different roster than Pascal's now kind of fully integrated, and you still had Mathurin and Buddy Hield then. How do you see just kind of the math and the geometry of what you've got going on differently than what you had in that stretch?
Well, we're going to have to play well. There's no question about that. In terms of the math, the possession game will be key. We've got to cut turnovers down. We had 22 in the first game and too many in the second game. And so that's a correctable thing. We got to do better there. Rebounding is always a big thing. So, and from there, we got to keep them off the free throw line somehow. There's been a pretty big discrepancy in fouls and free throws, and we've got to level that out in this game.
Rick, how much did you expect to see them go super small in this series? Obviously, Luke went out for them, and they go to that, O'Shea, Jason lineup. What did that kind of do against you guys, and how do you have to react to them when they do go small like that?
Well, they went small a lot during the year. They went small a pretty significant amount of the time when we played them, and so it's just part of their thing. I mean, they've got a very versatile roster. And when Cornette went out, O'Shea coming in at 5 was not a surprise. O'Shea's a very good player. O'Shea played very well here for 2.5, 3 years, whatever it was. We respect him. He's an elite rebounder. He's a great runner, and he's a guy that can finish at the rim. So, they got a lot of weapons over there, and so we got to be ready.
Knows you guys, Aaron knows the Celtics. What's that dynamic like, having two guys on opposite sides who kind of know the other team a little bit, maybe some of their tendencies, stuff like that?
Well, it's more about who's playing harder, who's doing things harder and better. Aaron's almost 2 years removed, and O'Shea's over a year removed from us. So, I think when those guys square off against guys they're familiar with, that's one thing. But as far as the overall impact on the team, I'm not sure if it's going to have that great an impact. But it's a good question. So
I don't think we knew this Thursday. Was there a play or a time identified on film where Tyrese suffered the injury?
Yeah, I gave you my Tyrese thing, and I said that's it, and that was it. I don't. I do not. No.
Rick in the back here. TJ McConnell kind of made his bones in this league by looking at himself as like the last guy and had to fight for himself every single day to make it. Have you seen him kind of shift into more of like a veteran leader and someone who like fully believes that he belongs, especially looking at a moment like tonight without Tyrese playing?
Well, he has great confidence as a competitor. You would have to ask him that question to get his, I can't read his mind, but he's always going to play like he hasn't fully proven it yet. That's just how his makeup is. That's how his internal motor and the fire he has inside of him operates. And so he's been tremendous for us all year long, and he is a veteran leader on our team. So I think the answer is yes. I mean, we see him that way, and I think he would admit that he's become a veteran guy that can help younger players, et cetera, like that. But as far as believing he's arrived or that he's solved any, difficult equations or anything like that, I mean, he's always going to keep fighting. and he's always going to keep fighting like it was day one. That's what makes him special.
Rick, down here in the front. Miles has talked about how after the first 2 quarters of this series, they've put a smaller guy on him to try to take away some of the pick and roll threat, pick and pop threat that he has. With him trying to maybe post up guys like that, what is kind of your message for him? I know so much of his offense is derived from pick and roll play, but if he is on the block, kind of what's your message to Miles is what you were expecting for him offensively?
The important thing for Miles is to play to full capacity, play hard, not have any expectations about touches or shots or anything like that. I mean, we've seen cross match coverage on him all year long. This is no news flash. He's got to help us. If they're going to put a small guy on him, he's got to help us rebound better. If they're going to put a small guy on him, he's going to have to run and get early seals, and those kinds of things. But this is all just logical stuff that just makes sense. So that's it.
Rick, when you look at what Tatum's doing, leading them in rebounding and assists, like what kind of tone does that set when other guys can see a star leading the way on the glass and being unselfish?
He's a great player, first team All NBA. So, I'm sure he has expectations to be that kind of guy. Doesn't surprise me one bit. As far as analyzing how people view it, I mean, you'd have to interview a lot of different people to get a lot of different opinions, but I'm not shocked at all. The guy's one of the best players in the world.